Hello, it's Claire again. Today I wanted to talk about meds and supplements that I have found helpful for neuroimmune disease. Um, I guess I'm on sort of a light medication schedule relative to some people, but there's a bunch of different things that have helped me. Hormones have helped me a lot. Low dose naltrexone has helped me a lot. Celebrex has helped me quite a bit. IV Rocephin, which has certainly probably helped me the most. Antihistamines, I have mast cell activation syndrome, and so antihistamines have helped quite a bit. So I thought we could take a look at my medicine cabinet, and then my supplement regime. Supplements to me fall under kind of a wild variety of categories: basic nutrition, anti-inflammatory, um, anti-inflammatory or reducing oxidative stress. There's those types of supplements. There's a few chelating sort of supplements I take. I don't take any heavy duty chelators. There are supplements that might help with mitochondrial function. And I certainly try to avoid drugs and supplements that will inhibit mitochondrial function. You can go to, there's some mitochondrial disease websites that you can go to and look at the lists of drugs and then try to gauge, am I taking anything that might impair mitochondrial function? And if so, how important is it that I keep taking this? An example for me is dexamethasone. I make no cortisol whatsoever at this point in time. My 24-hour salivary cortisol test was flat, just completely flat line. And I could not tolerate hydrocortisone in oral form. It gave me migraine, headaches, and that is toxic to mitochondria as well. So I'm taking dexamethasone, which might not be that much better actually. And dexamethasone and hydrocortisone are other drugs too that there's this tryptophan kynurenine pathway in the body that they think might be activated in neuroimmune disease, and that those medications also activate that pathway, which isn't good. That being said, a nice blocker of that pathway is Celebrex. So Celebrex has some possible anti-neuroinflammatory properties, which I have found very helpful. So first we'll go to my medicine cabinet, and then we'll go to my supplement area downstairs and take a look. Okay, so for me, my morning regimen consists of not very much stuff. I mean, all together it looks like a lot, but it's not really. There is, I take T3 and T4. Those are very important for me. Liothyronine and levothyroxine. I take dexamethasone. I take H1 blockers just in the form of Zyrtec. It doesn't make me sleepy. I do not take, some people take, I think it's Claritin or something. I don't take that one. I just take Zyrtec in the morning, and if I really need a little bit at night, I might take half a Zyrtec at night. I'm supposed to take it twice a day, Zyrtec twice a day. I usually take it once a day. I take an acid reducer, just 150 milligrams. I take 75 milligrams twice a day, so just 150 milligrams. I don't know that I really need it that much, but H2 blockers do help if you have mast cell activation syndrome. I take Celebrex, again, this tryptophan kynurenine pathway activation in some neuroinflammatory diseases. I don't know, it seems to help me certainly a lot more than other conventional NSAIDs like Motrin, which doesn't do anything, or aspirin, which just aggravates my symptoms. I use natural progesterone cream, which helps me quite a lot. I use estrogen. Occasionally I take a little bit of DHEA, but not very much. At night, my medication schedule is mostly naltrexone. I take 3.5 milligrams of naltrexone a night, and I take about, I'd say, 1.5 milligrams of melatonin a night, and I had to work up to that. And actually, I don't take melatonin every single night. I find if I take it every single night, it loses effectiveness and it makes me feel sort of odd. But if I take it at least every other night or a few times a week, it works great, in my opinion. It all helps with pain, too. Pain is one of my worst symptoms, so I find it to be helpful. At night, occasionally, I take Ativan. I try not to take that every night, but Ativan is very helpful for neuroimmune disease. It's one of the only drugs that's ever helped me in my life, throughout my life, probably since my mid-20s. You know, I had some sort of PANS-like onset of symptoms when I was 13, anxiety, OCD, insomnia. And I didn't try Ativan until I was in my mid-20s, and it's probably the only drug that's ever truly made me feel better. It reduces my global symptoms. Even if I have PEM, Ativan will help with that. But of course, the benzodiazepines can be habituating, so you don't want to overdo it. But a milligram of Ativan a couple nights a week really will help my sleep immensely and helps my symptoms too. The next day, I will pretty much guaranteed to be pain-free and have a nice, energetic day. So now we can move on to supplements, which are downstairs. Okay, so these are the supplements I take, which it's fairly bewildering. So maybe my medication schedule is light. My supplement schedule is not light at all. But that being said, I find supplements to be helpful. They haven't cured me. Nothing has cured me. I'm doing much better than I was, bedridden for many years and in pain to the point where I just couldn't live anymore. I was over life. I just had too much pain to live. It wasn't managed very well at all, actually. So it's pretty well managed with naltrexone, and I do think the supplements help as well. First, I would say supplements to avoid, things I've tried are pyruvate. They know that there's something wrong with probably pyruvate dehydrogenase in our illness. Something blocking it so that maybe glycolysis doesn't occur. People thought it was an ATP production problem, but it actually could be a glycolysis problem. And it could start with pyruvate dehydrogenase. Yeah, taking pyruvate does not make you feel better. I think Ron Davis has mentioned this in one of his videos, but before I even saw his video, I thought I'll try some pyruvate. Maybe this will help this mitochondrial dysfunction. What it tends to do is, unfortunately, passes through your stomach and small intestine, I think, pretty easily, and it seems to go to the larger gut. I'm guessing it goes to the large intestine, where it causes a lot of problems. The bacteria there go crazy. I don't know if they're sulfur reducing bacteria that can feed on this. I'm not sure what, but it causes a lot of lower bowel distress. So I would avoid this. It didn't help, and it really just kind of irritated my lower gut. When I was very ill, I did a lot of Noon tablets or other types of electrolytes. Had very bad POTS, which is mostly, I shouldn't say it's gone away, but it's much better with my antibiotics and all the other things I do. So if you still have bad POTS, you might try Noon and compression stockings. I noticed that did help. Ribose is another one. I know Tidal Balm is big on ribose. Another one I've tried, and I had SIBO, and so I didn't know I had SIBO, and I was taking this ribose hoping that it would help the mitochondrial dysfunction or general muscle or global functioning. It did not. It really aggravated my SIBO. So if you have SIBO, you might be feeding either the bugs in your upper gut where they shouldn't be, or your lower gut, something that they can eat that you don't necessarily digest that well. So it's not my favorite. Some people like it, whatever works, but I'm just giving you my personal experience. Methylation mutations, I have a lot of them. I have the COMT homozygous mutations and MTHFR mutations and a lot of other ones. So my physician at OMI, Dr. Kaufman, he's very good, started me on methylated vitamins. You have to start really low and slow, and I've never made it to more than 400 milligrams a day of methylfolate. It makes my skin burn. It makes every cell in my body feel like it's burning. It's definitely pushing some broken process. So be careful. The same with methylated B12. I've always tolerated that one quite a bit better. I take 5,000 micrograms per day, half in the morning, half at night. Folinic acid, probably the most powerful thing, but I cannot tolerate it at all. Even a little bit of folinic acid means that for me, it feels like every cell in my body is burning and I can't sleep. So I have to stay away from that one. Some people can tolerate it, which is great. Again, with the methylfolate, I would start really slow on this. I know Amy Yasko has a very slow protocol for taking methylated vitamins. At OMI, they're kind of more of the start taking large doses. And I said, oh, wait, I can't, I don't think I can do that. And it's a good thing I didn't. They recommend shots, and they also recommended some vitamins that had, I just want to say 15 milligrams a day or something of methylfolate, which is just a huge dose. So be careful. There it is. Then we have anti-inflammatory types of supplements. I take turmeric, nice anti-inflammatory, resveratrol, and pycnogonal, I think from pine wood or something. Resveratrol is from grapes. Another nice anti-inflammatory. Glutathione, reduced Who knows how well it's absorbed, but I find it kind of helpful. I have primrose oil as well, another general sort of antioxidant. Some people don't like primrose oil or fish oil or the omega-3 and 6 fatty acids for various reasons, but so far so good. Green coffee bean extract. Another antioxidant. I find it helpful. I take NAC. It's hopefully converted into the body into glutathione, which you need, and which seems to be burned up in the illness we have. I'm not sure why the glutathione seems to be low, but I do take NAC. Mitochondrial function and possibly antioxidative properties. Coenzyme Q10. I take this twice a day. Acetyl L-carnitine. This is another tidal balm supplement. I've had luck with it, so I've been able to tolerate it. Then we get into immune boosting. You know, that's the hardest part about neuroimmune disease, is that there are no cures because they don't know how to turn our natural killer cell function back on. I think the Australians at Griffith are making some progress in understanding maybe what's happening, but there's no way yet of, my natural killer cells, I have plenty of them, they don't work. My natural killer cell function is 4 on the Quest test, and I haven't had C3 or C4 for many years. My C3, C4 is really low. So it's a bad combination when there's a part of your immune system that's not working and your complement system is not working to clear the immune complexes. Then you start possibly getting autoimmunity, which I have. My Cunningham panel was all very positive and high, and so was my cell trend. Most conventional autoimmune tests, I show up negative. I'm not ANA positive or anything, but when you start digging into like autoimmunity to neurotransmitters, I certainly seem to have some major problems with that. So back to immune boosting supplements. Mushrooms, cordyceps, does it work? I don't know. I take it. Astragalus, I take this a couple times a day. Another triple mushroom complex that has more than just cordyceps. Vitamin D. None of us seem to make vitamin D. I've had a vitamin D deficiency for a very long time, way before I knew I had neuroimmune disease. My doctor tested my vitamin D levels 10 years ago and said, "You have no vitamin D." It was 4, which is way below the lowest normal end for an adult, which was something like 27 to 46. And I was 4, just 4 or 5, some terrible thing. She's like, you need to take vitamin D. I take 6,000 I use a day. I take 8. If you watch the video, ME/CFS Alerts by Kenny DeMarelaire, he says in Neuroimmune Disease, the 25 hydroxy form is converted into the 125 hydroxy form. I think that's what it is. 25 vitamin D, 25 hydroxy is one form, and then the 125 is another form. So I did have my 125 tested as well as my 25. My 25 is perpetually low, even after supplementing with vitamin D for many years, still low. But my 125 is normal to high. Kenny DeMarelaire, I remember him saying that some people get toxic levels of vitamin D 125. Mine are not toxic, they're high. Yet my doctors insist that I should still keep supplementing with vitamin D because they think the 25 form, at least a lot of studies have been done with the 25 hydroxy form. So I keep supplementing, hoping not to poison myself. And then we move on to various things like fixing SIBO. I take garlic extract. Is it maybe good for Lyme, which I have? Perhaps, I don't know. I was taking it for my gut. I had terrible SIBO, and I do think it helps a little bit. It did not cure my SIBO, but it helped. I've been on IV antibiotics for 7 months now. I take milk thistle complex. My liver enzymes went up a little bit one time, not anything crazy, and then they went back down. But I do take milk thistle complex for the liver twice a day. I don't know whether it helps, but certainly my liver seems fine. And then we have some interesting sort of supplements. There's some sort of chelating supplements, blue-green algae and ALA. I take these, possibly chelating metals or, some Lyme doctors like Klinghardt, like blue-green algae for chelating toxins as well as metals. And I know people who are concerned about metals or concerned about other things like I think fungal toxins and stuff sometimes use different chelators. And just for good measure, I do take blue-green algae and ALA. ALA is also a nice antioxidant. Hyaluronic acid, this is an interesting one. I was taking it because I read that it had anti-neuroinflammatory properties, meaning it inhibits microglial activation, so supposedly helps with neuroinflammation. And then I was listening to Dr. Klinghardt, and I know he thinks, and I don't, it's possibly true or not, I haven't really too hard into it, that hyaluronic acid kind of lures Lyme, Borrelia, out of the cells where they hide. And once they're lured out of the cells, then you can kill them with different things. I think he uses different types of teas and I think more plant extracts. I can't remember the name of the one tea he uses particularly. I take antibiotics. So for me, I take this before I take my antibiotics. Hopefully, if I lure anything out of my cells into my bloodstream or my plasma, maybe then the IV antibiotics can kill them. It also supposedly, again, reduces microglial activation. I've had good luck with it. It certainly doesn't seem to hurt me. SAMe, I take another methyl donor. It's a good one. They're anti-inflammatory in general, good all around vitamin liposomal C. I take this. Other vitamins you might need: A, E, K, B complex. I take all these large amounts of methylated B vitamins, and you don't want your other B vitamins to get imbalanced. I myself usually drink Emergency every day, which has a lot of B vitamins in it. Camu powder is great for vitamin C too if you can't tolerate, Emergency. This does not have B vitamins as far as I know, but this does. Another thing, especially when I was really ill, I'm a vegetarian, mostly a vegan. I would say basically I'm a vegan. And so I definitely was worried about not getting enough amino acids. And I know in the neuroimmune disease as well, there is some difficulty, just general metabolic difficulties. And I know some people do well with paleo or, high meat diets or whatever. I would never do personally. That's not my thing. But I do take vegetarian amino acid capsules. I do think they help. I know Dr. Klinghardt as well has said the sicker somebody is, the more we try to give them vegetarian aminos and then maybe move to different protein sources. But I found these to be very helpful, especially when I was really sick. I still take it twice a day. This is adrenal support, and it is non-animal adrenal support. I know there's a lot of glandular extracts and things like that. I am completely vegetarian, no factory farmed products, even if it's some completely humanely raised and then slaughtered cow. I don't want its pituitary gland. No, thank you. I take the herbal form. This one's ashwagandha, ginseng, and tyrosine, and rhodia. There's a bunch of stuff in this, but I find it to be really helpful, not overly stimulating. Good stuff. I have mast cell activation syndrome. I don't know how many other people do too. You might. Quercetin and rutin are both very good supplements for that. I also take Dr. Theoharidis, who is one of the mast cell experts in the country, has a supplement called Neuroprotect. It's very expensive. It's $40 for this bottle. So I have some, and quercetin and rutin and luteolin are the major components. So you can kind of make your own. The thing is, they're not well absorbed from the gut, so he puts them in, I think, olive kernel oil. Very much like liposomal C, and very much like Klinghardt's idea of delivering different types of herbs or drugs liposomally. The absorption is better, so maybe that's true. I myself have had good luck just taking basic old quercetin and rutin, as well as antihistamine. So I think that's about it for the supplements. And good luck if you want to try any of these things. It's trial and error. For years, I was way too sick to take any supplements at all. And as I've gotten better, I've added them, and I add them one at a time, so I know what's doing what. And if I start feeling off, I start subtracting them to figure out which one is making me feel unwell. So I have a pretty good idea of what works and what doesn't for me at this point. So I wish you luck, and bye-bye for now.